Yeah, they were getting battered. They weren't good. They're like Tottenham, getting battered everywhere they go.
Ali's deluded
I
everywhere he goes.
Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. Back again, joined as ever by the three guys. Ali has returned. Ali, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Excited to be
Really,
back.
man. It's good to have you back. Good to have George and Fogel back. They're currently looking at their phones, currently engrossed by the start of this podcast, which is good to see. Good to see. Let's get straight into it.
Let's get straight
Ali,
into it.
what have you got for us this week with the AFCON appetizer?
AFCON appetizer stuff's been going down. Now, as we record, Monday afternoon Eastern time, Monday evening UK time, Cameroon are playing Comoros in the round of 16. And we'll get to some of the round of 16 results that are some shockers already. But it's not about Cameroon leading 1-0 in 53 minutes, looking comfortable, looking like they will progress to the last 8 as a host nation, of course, one of the favorites. They're leading 1-0 against a team that's playing a 5'6" left back in goal, that have also arrived at the stadium late, and because they were promised an escort that they didn't get. So they prepared for the match, got their stretches, their little tapes and things like that. There's this little physio work, tactical, instructions, fine tuning on the bus. And they are losing just by the one goal. The one shot on target all first half for Cameroon. Pretty poor showing going forward, I have to say. I watched the first half. It was kind of hard to watch. Because, first of all, on set pieces, right? So, first of all, the only thing you have to do is literally hit the target. Like that's how the goal came. It was a simple shot to just aside of the goal. The goalkeeper, frankly, isn't tall enough to reach, and they're not a goalkeeper. That's the first time they've ever been in goal, to my knowledge, anyway. And they just didn't dive even. Like they had this little, I'll go to the side, maybe I'll get there, but they were nowhere near. And that's how the goal came in. Like, why don't you just hit the target? Let's try to hit the target.
It's definitely one of those ones where, in Sunday League, when you look at the goalkeeper and he's made a howler in like the pre-match, or he looks small. And,
I'll tell you what it is.
So long shots
dead
today,
giveaway.
Long shots today.
Dead giveaway is when you get the goalkeeper, quote unquote, in Sunday League, and he's just turned his shirt inside out. He doesn't even have the goalkeeper shirt because the goalkeeper's not turned up. That's when it's the best. That's when you can tell, and he's borrowing someone's gloves.
Some Sondico gloves that just like paper,
falling apart.
Yeah,
God, they're bad, aren't they?
But on that note, it's just a shame because the starting goalkeeper actually is not COVID positive at this point.
He's injured, isn't he?
No, he is completely fine. So apparently CAF changed the rules according to Muhammad Ali, who is a journalist. He tweeted on Twitter.
What he was saying?
That's the first thing I got. Oh, Muhammad Ali. That's a nice name. He tweeted, AFCON turning into a farce now. Rules set before the tournament meant that Comoros could have avoided playing without a goalkeeper. If a player tests negative, rules seemingly changed mid-tournament, and despite the keeper being negative, he won't be allowed into the stadium. So what's it turned into is a quarantine requirement rather than a test requirement. So he's not allowed into the stadium, even though he is completely fine, symptom-free, COVID negative. And they're playing with a left back with a substitute goalkeeper's goal, and they taped it with blue tape on the back. It's just a farce.
That
it's
ruling,
just a farce.
Is that in writing though? Because it kind of reminds me of the ridiculous situation in the Euros when it was Mount and who's the other one?
Oh yeah, Billy Gilmore.
Because of Billy Gilmore's positive test, but it was Mason. It was Chilwell. Mount and Chilwell weren't allowed to feature in the next two games, I think. The last group game and the round of 16 game. But then the whole Scotland team were allowed to play their match.
And John
unrestricted.
McGinn, John McGinn had played table tennis with him, and a video was put up on the YouTube channel. It just miraculously disappeared.
Oh my god! I actually couldn't remember that, but yeah, it's a shame because then if you're not playing with a goalkeeper at all, surely this swing of competition change. And they're Comoros anyway against the host nation, one of the best African footballing countries in the world, in the world, in Africa. Like,
you got to feel for them. You got to feel for them.
As we're watching it, my takeaway from this game is the referee has one of the best ref runs I've ever seen. He's gliding around the pitch, really high knees, great posture. That's the main thing I've noticed so far. He's impressed me.
Yeah.
They're just showing a highlight, funnily enough, of the goalkeeper making a save, and he dives down to his left and saves it like with his opposite hand in front of him. He looks to be very one-handed, from what I can tell. Wow. He sort of just palms it like that. You got to feel for them after what they pulled off. Like, it was a shock them beating Ghana in that last group. I know Ghana went down to 10 men, but beating Ghana 3-2 the way they did to come through that group. Yeah. And then, as you said, to have a goalkeeper in goal, left back in goal, to be down to 10 men 7 minutes in. I mean, and as you said, not getting an escort to the game, being late to the game, doing their stretches on the bus. I mean, it's pretty chaotic in terms of preparation.
And they had a man sent off in the 7th minute with what's, in my opinion, a ludicrous red card. It's like the Matt Doherty one in the Chelsea game that some people said, "Oh, this should have been a red." At least in like where I saw it, like on NBC Peacock, there was some form.
They said it should have been a red.
It could have been a red, like lucky boy and things like that. Like, absolutely not. There was a shirt pull, not the Doherty one. I'm talking about the Comoros one now. There was a shirt pull, and the player stepped on the opponent's foot, so it could have damaged his ankle. Najim Abdu is the man that got sent off for Comoros. I had to look his name up, to be honest. But
you could have said any maybe name. It was I wouldn't have corrected it.
That's disrespectful.
I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. So I guess it's like a double yellow card situation, maybe shirt pull and then step on the ankle, but I didn't see it as red. And they're playing without a goalkeeper. Just give them a chance. It's just a shame.
Give him a chance. Yeah, it's obviously they can't make the decision based on that sort of stuff, but I agree. Sort of on an emotional level, you got to feel for them. Before we move on, Ali, just quickly, now that obviously the group stage has been completed and the draw is kind of set in stone from now, who do you make favourites for it, sort of with the games to come?
I was saying Nigeria, but Nigeria lost 1-0 to Tunisia.
Last night to Tunisia, yeah.
Yeah, Yusuf Msakni with the goal, which honestly was one that the goalkeeper shouldn't concede. Very far out, he has a full side of the ball, but the ball, like, Yusuf Msakni hits it well. Like, it bounced right in front of him, but like it went right under his hand. Should have done better with that.
Yeah.
I would say potentially Ivory Coast. Egypt play Ivory Coast, obviously my team of my nationality.
Yeah,
they're looking good on the 26th.
Looking good. Pepe's looking good for them. Haven't got a tune out of him all season. He scored 2 for them, which is more than he's got for us, or as many as he's got for us all season.
Yeah, so it's either going to be Ivory Coast or, in my opinion, Morocco. Morocco. Decent. Yeah, Morocco
are always quite solid, aren't they?
They're very solid defensively. Going forward, they've scored. I think they scored 3 in one game, which isn't usual of them. So it's actually the way the tree is, like the brackets is going. Ivory Coast win against Egypt and Morocco win against Malawi. They play each other in the semifinal.
Yeah.
In the quarterfinal. So I think whoever wins that is going to be
the tournament.
But I mean, Algeria were bottom of the group. Senegal scored 1 goal in the 97th minute of their first game and haven't scored a goal since. So there's been some shockers. Like I wouldn't count
Algeria. Have we been on since Algeria were knocked out?
Don't think so.
No. I can
They didn't score a goal, did they? They didn't score a single goal.
And their unbeaten run was ridiculous as well, which I didn't realize.
35 games, and then they got beat.
Yeah.
It was
pretty convincing.
Not out of the competition.
Yeah, they were poor.
Before we move on, Harry, just one more thing about
this.
Yeah. Did anyone see the Burkina Faso goalkeeper doing about 20 handsprings as a celebration when his team won the penalty shootout? I just want an honourable mention to that because it's if you haven't seen it, like his team win the penalty shootout, he does about 5-10 handsprings in a row. It's incredible. I've shown off his athleticism, and it's just brilliant. It's just mental. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like
hold my beer.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
Just quickly though, just a correction on Algeria. They did score a goal against Ivory Coast, but
it was disallowed though, wasn't it?
No, they lost 3-1.
I thought it was ruled out.
Well, it wasn't ruled out. I didn't watch the game, to be honest. So
yeah, I thought it was a VAR thing. So I don't know why.
It was scored when they were 3-0 down. As well.
Yeah, they were getting battered. They weren't good. They're like Tottenham, getting battered everywhere they go.
Hey,
there we go.
We'll move on to Tottenham in a second, but I just want to get this in before we get. It sounds like the fullback is having a pretty good game for Commerce because I've just seen someone tweet on the timeline. If this guy is better as a fullback than he is as a keeper, then he must be the next Dani Alves. It sounds like he's playing pretty well. I don't know. I mean, look, he must be something pretty special if they put a 5'6" bloke in goal. He must have some agility.
Shout out Gambia. They have progressed to the last 8 in their first ever appearance in AFCON.
They have a couple of good players, don't they?
Musa Barrow,
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
But yeah, they were second. Tunisia actually only qualified because they were third in the group behind Gambia, who tied Mali on points. And they proceeded to defeat Guinea. Naby Keita's AFCON run is over.
It's over.
Yep.
It's over for him.
Yeah, that's all the stuff that happened this week. By next
There's
week,
your AFCON appetizer.
There's your AFCON appetizer. Next week, we will have reached semi-final, I think. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Chelsea-Tottenham, which is obviously the big game of the weekend.
Everywhere.
I mean, there's quite a lot riding on this going into it because Tottenham are in a position where, because of these games in hand, if they were to win them all, and obviously like that is a separate thing, but if they win them all, they're actually above Chelsea, which is for me like such an interesting because I look at the two teams and obviously the recent League Cup semi-final over the 2 legs is even more evidence of this. There's a chasm between the two. I mean, there really is, and it again showed on the day. We'll talk a bit about Chelsea first. What were you guys kind of expecting from this game? Was it a case of kind of laying down a marker and going, look, there's still a gap between us? Tottenham fans have sort of been getting a bit cocky recently, and this is our chance to put them back in their place. Or sort of, were you a bit nervous considering they've been playing a bit better recently? 9 games unbeaten, going into it under Conte. What did you guys think?
I think with the like you mentioned, the Carabao Cup games, we were so dominant in both of them. Really, like there was very little chance of Chelsea losing those games. But having said that, it did feel like can you beat? So I think Thomas Tuchel's beat the only ever Chelsea manager to beat Tottenham 5 times in a row. His first 5 times. Anyway. I was obviously a little bit worried because when you have that kind of record, it's just made to be broken. Like it's always just getting stacked up to be sorry, not broken, to be.
It's like law of averages, isn't it? When you play a team like loads
100%.
of times in succession, you feel like it just in one of the games you're bound to like get unlucky or they really turn up on the day. It's like sort of when you play a team like in the League Cup as you did, or you play them in the FA Cup and the league straight afterwards. It's like you sort of work out and you're like, what would I rather win? Because sometimes it's a case that like there is going to be variance or whatever. But actually, I think if you look at the 3 games, the ones that have been played recently anyway, it's been so one-sided. I mean, it really has. And Conte's made. We'll talk about Conte and you know, his tactics and his comments in a minute. And he's kind of made the point of saying that Tottenham are nowhere near. And I think it just showed on the day. I want to ask you about the tactical side of this, though, guys, because what it seemed like anyway is when the team came out, it was 4 at the back again, which it was in the first leg of the League Cup semi-final. I think everyone assumed it would be the 4-2-2 again. But when the game actually started, it seemed to be sort of more of a 4-3-3. What did you guys make of that?
I think it was. Sorry,
I was delighted to see it. I was I feel like Mount's is better whenever he's a wee bit deeper, and then as he did, he sort of ended up just keep running the channel with the right wing and causing problems. And yeah, it worked really well. I think it gets the best out of Ziyech, which you saw. Finally turning up. Hopefully, he can put in a couple more of that. Got the best out of the two wingers. The two wingers looked really good.
What a goal!
I thought it's an unreal goal. I like it. It reminds me. It's like different. The arc of the goal reminded me of one of Payet's free kicks.
I was gonna say Payet.
You're absolutely.
It comes so from such a height, like straight down in, and you're like, it was a shock that it was in. Like even he said he thought you hit it a bit too hard. Like, but yeah, it was a really, really good, amazing goal. I mean, unbelievable. But yeah, the two wingers got a lot more out of them, and then got a lot more out of Mount as well. And then even Lukaku, he didn't play well, but I thought he was getting more of the sort of chances that he was getting a few more balls in behind because the likes of Mount and Kovacic and Ziyech were able to sort of cut in on the stronger foot or just hit balls. I thought there's room for growth with this formation, and with a 4-3-3 you can, depend on who you let go forward, you can change the focus of attack with a 4-3-3 really easily as well.
I think my only concern with it, and it's not a concern necessarily with the 4-3-3. It's more concerned with our options at fullback now. But if you compare it to the Liverpool game, where the switch of play was always on, and those fullbacks put in so many crosses. I mean, I think Robertson assist came of it as well. With Azpilicueta and Sarr on the fullback positions, you really don't create any chances there. You had to have Mount almost in a Mazzala role, drifting wide, getting into those spaces and getting crosses in to help sort of Ziyech. It was almost Mount doing the overlaps rather.
He played. If you look at the average positions, he played as the right winger, and Ziyech it was the one actually dropping in a lot closer,
and he cut in exactly. And so it was. It's a concern in terms of goal creation. It's fantastic in terms of the solidity at the back. You know, I really wasn't that concerned. Obviously, there was one moment in the game where we did concede, very controversially, but that was the only chance they really created that to be honest, was any substance. So, and it'd be really interesting to see Reece James in a back four, and I think he can thrive. And I think with James and Chilwell as well, I think we've got so many options going forward, which we haven't had with 5 at the back, and we can still utilise those fullbacks. I just feel like there's a lot to come from that 4 at the back.
Do you know what? It's been interesting because obviously Tuchel comes in, goes with the 3 at the back, and it wins you a Champions League. It's kind of difficult to argue with that, and it may well be he goes back to that for the knockout games. But it's always felt like to me for Chelsea to string a consistent run together in the league where they're beating teams they should be beating, because ultimately that's been the difficulty I think for them this season, is they've dropped points in games they should win and need to win if they want to compete for the title. I've always thought they need to evolve into a team that plays with a back 4, take the extra centre back out, get an extra midfielder or attacker on the pitch, and you've seen obviously in the first leg of the League Cup and then in this that they're a team that can do it. I think that there's been concerns maybe about some of the players that they suit a back 3 team, and I think there's a tendency they get too comfortable in it and then you kind of take that away from them and they're maybe not the same players. But in this game, on the evidence of this anyway, they've got more than enough quality, and Tuchel's such a good tactician. I think he's like right up there in terms of tactical nuances within games. He makes little changes where I think he gets the best out of what he's got on the pitch and ultimately gets at the opposition. I think it was. I think. Look, it's probably at a stage now with Chelsea they've dropped too many points. I think they're pretty likely to be out of the title race, but they're definitely going to finish in the top 4, and it might be an important time for them. This, but sort of trying to evolve into a new system, a new formation.
I just wanted to point out 2 more things. Speaking of Tuchel and how he changes things in game, but also in terms of match preparation. Because first of all, Kovacic, he was always playing in a double pivot with Jorginho. They were average position next to each other, and in game you could see Kovacic very clearly dropping back to form a double pivot defensively. So there was an interesting balance there. So you had the box to box on the left on the side of Malang Sarr, who so is Malang Sarr a center back, or has he played full back for some time? Because I thought he was a center back, but
they signed him as a center back.
He is a center back.
He is a center back. I thought he was.
He's a left center back in back 5, effectively.
That's what I would have thought. He was excellent as a fullback. He was almost in line with the other 2 center backs, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. So you had that. You had Kovacic as the box to box, and then you had Azpilicueta, who is almost in a midfield line now. So there's Azpilicueta. He's ahead of Jorginho and Kovacic in average position, and then the build-up is down the right then, almost. There's Azpilicueta, there's Mount, there's Ziyech. Mount ahead of Ziyech, and then Azpilicueta, and behind they form a little triangle.
Yeah.
I thought this was a fascinating shape. And this is such a shift from the back 3 and having 2 almost attacking-minded wingers on as wingbacks, Alonso or Chilwell, and Reece James, who was their top scorer before his injury. To do it in such a successful way that you've limited Tottenham that much. They, as you say, George, they didn't have a sniff apart from the goal. 6 shots in total, 35% possession. I mean, which is kind of the way Conte might.
It's misleading as well, because a lot of that possession came after they were 2-0 down as well. Up to the 2 goals, it was nearer to 25%.
Yeah. So to plan ahead success, it takes bravery first of all, but to be able to think of ways to nullify. Well, the one main problem with Tottenham is playmaking, right? They don't have playmakers.
Yeah.
Maybe the most obviously screaming example of that being a successful thing is against Leicester. Kane dropping back, sliding the through ball to Bergwijn, and they win the game. But that's one of their
he's their only
playmaking now.
10, so to speak, is Kane.
Yeah.
He can do it. He's the only one that has the quality in his passing and creation. I want to talk a bit about Spurs, because I'll be honest, I didn't for 1 second expect them to get anything from the game. But I just look at it and I look at their approach. And considering that they, as I said, didn't really lay a glove on Chelsea in either leg of the League Cup tie, I just look at the team he put out on the day, and there's 6 defenders playing. And I look, the disallowed goal, it's contentious, right? And maybe if they score that, then they've got something to defend, and it's a different game, right? But realistically, apart from that, as George said, they didn't offer a threat. They didn't carry a threat. If you look at the momentum bar in the game, there's almost nothing from Spurs until they're 2-0 down. And so I just think that Conte is a great manager, obviously, and he's done very well to get Spurs into a position where, look, they win their games in hand and they take vice grip on the top 4. Doesn't mean they'll necessarily get it, but they're in a position where they could get it. But I just think that the team he sent out there is really negative. I just didn't see a way for them to win the game other than variance, sitting in, defending, relying on a bit of luck. And then you look at his comments after the game, and I know he wants signings, and I sort of get the idea that he's walked into something where he's probably been told there's not that much available in January. You've got to get the best out of all these guys till the end of the season. And he's not realised maybe how bad it is until he's got in the door. And I know he's got results, and maybe I contradict myself there. But some of these fringe players, he just doesn't want to use them. He leaves Lo Celso out the squad, leaves Dele Alli out the squad, leaves Ndombele out the squad. He doesn't want to use these guys. He wants them out the door, and he wants to get new people in. But it seems like a tiny, and I might be reading between the lines, it seems like a tiny bit of a power struggle where he wants them to do business in January that isn't realistic, and I think he probably knows it's not realistic. They're not going to go and spend £100 million on players in January like they probably need to in his mind.
Yeah.
And he sent the team out there with quite a negative attitude towards it all. Like, where do you guys stand on criticism for him on this one?
It was very limiting formation. Sorry, George. It was a very limiting formation where, so you had Tanganga, who is a centre back. He's not a right back. Centre back.
Yeah.
Put the worst performance on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You had Ben Davis.
Oh my, Hudson-Odoi. You had him on toast every single time.
It's awful.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
He got lucky. There's one point he got lucky
And
to
he's
get
great,
away with a second yellow because it was he was like holding on to Hudson-Odoi for a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have been sent off completely. Ahead of him is Matt Doherty, right winger in a 4-4-2. Well, presumably a 4-4-2.
We don't know, but it looked like
six at a back. I think part of why the average position map thing is very distorted, and part of that is Chelsea just having all of the ball all of the time. But the most surprising inclusion for me was Ryan Sessegnon. The boy doesn't play football, and the minute he plays against Chelsea. It feels harsh almost. And it's its job, but it's why Ryan Sessegnon when you could have gone with a 5 at the back. You could have played Tanganga, Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, Ben Davis, Matt Doherty, and then you can play Harry Winks, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, or Dele Alli, and then you have your front two. So it's just a 5-3-2 thing.
Yeah,
I know.
it was.
Well, I think Ryan Sessegnon has played as a winger in sort of.
He played well against Liverpool.
Wow.
That's the only game I can recall him playing this season. He might have played others, but that's the one that I remember. He played quite well against Mo Salah as kind of a left wing back. But I just think, don't get me wrong, Chelsea are Leicester can't hold a candle to Chelsea. They're a far better team. But when Tottenham played quite well in the week. I know they needed 2 injury time winners to do it, but they did batter Leicester. They got the highest XG of any team in a game this season. They played well, and I just thought that was a chance to ride that momentum a bit. And Chelsea have been struggling. Chelsea were poor against Brighton. Chelsea were held to a draw by Liverpool, held to a draw by Brighton home again. They've been a bit patchy recently. And I just think Tottenham went there and kind of played the occasion. And I know Chelsea are still a very good team. I'm not trying to dismiss that. But it felt like they kind of played the occasion. They've got a really poor record at Stamford Bridge. It kind of felt like they went there and went, well, we're probably going to lose. We're just going to defend for 90 minutes and, hopefully nick something on the break or from a set piece or whatever. And look, they're still in the conversation for top 4. It's not one to lose shit about. If I was a Spurs fan, I wouldn't be losing shit about it. But I think you can be critical of Conte on this one. He's not above criticism when they perform poorly, as much as the playing squad isn't his. I just thought the way he sent them out there, the attitude and ultimately the idea of what they were trying to do was all wrong, I think.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think Conte demands such high levels from players, and I think he's trying to demand high levels in terms of defensive solidity and concentration. And I think you bang on in the sense that he tried to get a 0-0 out of this or a 1-0 win. And he's demanding those levels out of players like Tanganga, Dyer, Ben Davies, Matt Doherty. No offense, Bagel. They are if you take Son out of this squad. They missed 2 players. I think Chelsea's injury list was far longer.
They'll get better with Son, obviously.
Yeah,
Son and Romero would start for that team.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say, and I don't know what's going on with Reggie. I don't know if he was on the bench on Sunday, but he's been left out on a couple of occasions. It's weird. I don't know if he quite fancies him.
He's not a great defender, to be fair.
Say you
also,
put those
why not
three
start
in.
Brian Hill ahead of Sessegnon if you're going to
Well, that's another one. He's on the bench and he just doesn't seem
He's
to get
getting linked to
looking.
Valencia.
Yeah.
I don't know if they think he's a bit lightweight, but he's not played much, and he looks quite tidy to me whenever he plays, but hasn't really been willing to use him that much. I just think there's going to be a general resistance from the Spurs hierarchy if Conte comes in and goes, well, I don't fancy any of these guys that you've signed or any of the guys that are there already, and I want to overhaul this squad. I just can't see Daniel Levy letting him do that. I think he's going to say to him, you've got to muddle through. You've got to get more out of these guys. You've got to get more out of some of these academy players and some of these guys we've signed are on ultimately quite big money.
But maybe if you do it this dramatically, he might get one more signing than he would have done. You know, it's like he might force the issue that ever.
I just think
I think this is a Daniel Levy problem, though. Like you look at Conte's
I don't disagree.
record.
I don't disagree because
Conte's record in terms of demanding players. I mean, he did it at Chelsea. He did it at Inter when obviously he left Inter because he didn't have the money. Like that's why he's left.
No, he walked away.
Exactly. He walked away because they don't have the money anymore to compete, or from his idea, to compete in the Champions League and Serie A. So he walked away, and obviously he needed to go as well because they couldn't afford him. But the fact that Spurs somehow thought they'd tame a beast like Conte and not have him kick off about no signings is ridiculous. I mean, they thought they could do it with Jose Mourinho as well. Jose Mourinho has done it again. Man United, he did it. Chelsea, he did it. Spurs, he's obviously going to do it. And for some reason, Daniel Levy thinks he's beyond that and some sort of mastermind and can tame these big managers and bring them in. But no, you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is, and you're going to have to back them because they're not those kind of managers.
Conte, probably unlike Mourinho. Mourinho, like he is a personality, but I don't think Mourinho would ever walk away from it. I think Conte would potentially just walk away from Spurs if he wasn't getting what he wanted. Summer. I don't think he'd have an issue doing it. And I agree with you as well. Like, it is Levy's fault, and it is the guys that have been in charge of recruitment that have ultimately assembled what I think is a completely imbalanced squad.
Yeah,
where you've got a new manager and he's looking at it and thinking, well, I don't want 80% of these guys. Like, they're not my signings, and they don't suit what I want to go forward doing. I don't think they're capable of it. So I agree on that in that regard. I just think that Conte is he's completely disillusioned in terms of what he thinks he's going to get and what he's actually going to get. Because if he thinks they're going to start, giving him a blank checkbook and he can write whatever he wants and get whoever, it's not going to happen. Or he's been lied to. But neither look good for Spurs at the moment.
No.
Because there seems to be kind of this distance between the two parties in terms of what one expects and what the other is kind of willing to provide ultimately at this point in time. Yeah, but that would be my take on Spurs. They're still well in the hunt for top four. They've got games in hand, and they might get it and might kick on. But I don't think it's not a happy camp at the moment. If I'm kind of summing it up, there's a lot of players that probably know they don't have a future there as well. That's the other thing is some of these guys know that within a couple of windows they're going to be sitting on the bench or looking to sort of move them out. So it's interesting times for Spurs, but we'll see what they can do in the closing parts of the window.
One of my thoughts about the game in terms of tactical sense was focused on Matt Doherty. The only other time I've seen him play at right mid in a 4-4-2 was a magnificent 1-0 win away from home against Gibraltar for Ireland.
You had to get that in there.
1-0 against Gibraltar.
1-0 against Gibraltar, and he
even play football.
It was subbed off, and it was it was an absolute disaster by all accounts. So I think the wind in Gibraltar might have blown the ball in. I think that's how he scored. What are we thinking about the Kane chance? What do we think?
Whether it's a foul.
My thought. A lot of people. I think it's a foul. I think there's enough there. The bit I think that gives it away for him is actually how extended his arm is. If he was actually closer to, that's what makes it so blatant. I think you could put the same amount. You could put the same amount of force if he was like ever so slightly closer. and he would actually get away with it. But because his arm's completely outstretched, I think.
I mean, he doesn't have to do it at all. It's way behind Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva's never going to get it.
Yeah,
he didn't have to put his hand on him.
Yeah,
I do think I don't know if to be honest, I've been pushed when I've been running at speed and I've fallen over a very light touch. I don't fully buy this idea that Thiago Silva went down. Like I look at I think once he was going down, I think he was theatrical once he realised he was falling over. But I don't think.
I think he could have stayed on his feet, but he would have stumbled.
I don't think he could have.
I
think
advantage.
Yeah.
I think he.
It's not a foul.
He clearly gives up, but I think he could have probably stayed on his feet, but he wouldn't. He's Kane's getting an advantage by pushing someone in the back. That's the foul.
It's not a foul for me, but I just.
It's not a foul for you after all.
No, I don't think it.
Even though
you just said you've been pushed over with.
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying. But contact. I mean, football is a contact sport. I think there's enough contact for Thiago Silva to go down. I just don't.
Well, you can't push someone over then. So it is a foul.
You can't push one over, George.
No, it's not. It's not.
It definitely is. If you push someone in the back,
I think either
you go over it.
You can only come down on two sides of this, which is either there's enough contact for him to go to ground and hence it's a foul, or there isn't and it's not. I don't think you could say he's pushed him over, but it's not a foul. I think you have to.
I don't know how you've done that, George. That's blown my mind.
Yeah. I think it looks soft. It did look soft because there's not loads in it. But kind of, I was going to say what George already said, which is that when you're running at full speed, it doesn't take a load to cause you to go to ground.
If you ever clip someone's heels, very, very satisfying is if you get the slightest touch on someone's heels.
Tiny touch,
And it's really satisfying to do. But it doesn't take a lot whenever you're at full speed.
No, I think it's a big moment in the game, and I think once it was given, it wasn't going to be overturned, obviously. Mm-hmm. And as we sort of discussed already, from there it was kind of a procession for Chelsea. And the only thing I would say, obviously, that they didn't create bucket loads. I think that they score from obviously a really very good goal from Ziyech, and then a set piece.
0.03 XG it was.
What, the Ziyech goal?
The Ziyech goal was 0.03. I saw. Yeah,
it's some strike. I mean, you likened it to that Payet one. The way it dips. I mean, Lloris was shocked of it.
Yeah, so good.
Some strike.
Quick interjection. Cameroon 2, Comoros 1.
Yeah, they scored a free kick.
Free kick, nice. I haven't got the game in front of me.
Yeah, it was a good free kick.
My dad sent me a text saying that in the second goal, the goalkeeper, the makeshift goalkeeper, put his hand behind his back so they don't give it handball. Like, he got his hand out of the way.
Unless you after watching it, he did. He does. He puts his arms behind his back as if he's jockeying him out.
His natural instincts took over.
Oh, God bless him. That's a tough gig.
That is a tough gig. Well, no.
Or maybe he's that cocky and that thinks he's actually so good of a keeper that he doesn't need to use his hands.
Like chest it down or something.
I still hope he is. Just for his own sake.
It's not quite live updates from us, considering this will be going out in a couple of days. But
everybody will know the score.
Everyone will know what we reacted to. Let's move on. I want to go through some of the other games in the weekend, some of the other talking points. We'll try and do this as quickly as possible. Get through as much as we can. Starting with Liverpool, Ali backed up that League Cup win on Thursday. I didn't see the game. I've obviously seen it back. And I've kind of read a bit of discourse about it. From what it sounds like, Liverpool started the game well, started like a train, first 30, 35 minutes, go into a 2-0 lead. And then from there, kind of relied on their goalkeeper a bit. And obviously, a terrible decision for a penalty.
Yeah. They relied on the goalkeeper more than a bit. I think we would have dropped points if it wasn't for Alisson. I mean, the save from the Elise chip is incredible. When he wants to have the reflexes, he will have them. He seems a bit sturdy sometimes to me, Alisson, like someone who will come out, but sometimes someone who will want to kind of stand his ground and not like Ederson just go in and attack someone on the ball. Like he will remain more patient and stand his ground, make himself as big as possible, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he was chipped, and then he absolutely leapt and just swept it away. Not many goalkeepers would have saved it.
No, it's great save.
But yeah, we started so comfortably. I thought it was going to be another 7. Like a replay this last year. We were so comfortable. The set piece was like we were scoring against under 12s.
Yeah, they defend them like under 12s Palace. They've got a serious set piece problem. I mean, that was a joke.
I think the conversion rate from opposition corner kicks is like in terms of getting shots away. I think it's something above 90%.
That's
against Palace.
That's horrific.
Against Palace, yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. I think it's 90. I think it's 92. I might be wrong on that. So yeah, terrible. But I mean, that went in 1-0. We were just pressuring. If you look at there's something called a momentum map. I don't know if everyone knows
about looking at it now.
Like if you go on SofaScore, you'll see the momentum map. Look at the first half momentum map and look at the second half momentum map. I think that tells the story of the game very well.
5 minutes till the second goal. Really, it's complete dominance.
Yeah, it was just a procession. Chamberlain scores 2-0, takes his goal very well. It's offside? A long ball. Offside against Firmino, you could argue it is. I think the only reason Firmino definitely intervenes from the play, but it's something that VAR would have had to take a long, hard look at.
It's not offside for me. I mean, that's so it's because there's no one really that he's influencing. Like
he influences the left back. The left back comes in and marks it.
Not enough for the left back.
I mean, he might not have got to it, but
Chamberlain
score. He has a much easier chance to score because the left back's been pulled into where he is.
I think it's a very rare case of a subjective offside.
Yeah. They're awkward, those ones, like where is he interfering or not? Like, are they in the eye line or are they influencing someone? It's kind of you can't say definitively.
Exactly.
What I wanted to ask you, Ali, the goal Crystal Palace scores kind of speaks to maybe a slightly wider concern about Liverpool. Van Dijk this season, now look, it's understandable that he's not going to come back in and just get straight back to the heights of pre-ACL.
It's January.
But to me, he just looks like he's not moving quite right. And on some of these counter-attacks, he just looks a bit lethargic. Even the other night, as much as Liverpool were comfortable and dominated the game, he looked a bit slow to me. Is that something you've noticed in his game?
Yes, absolutely. So I also, this will come off as a brag, but I studied sports science in undergrad, so I've studied about ACL injuries and
there you go. I've asked you the right question then.
Rehab process and things. His knee will never come back as strong as it was before, and his quadriceps, like his thigh and his calves, because those are the two connected to the knee, will never produce as much power, so he won't regain as much pace as he had before, unfortunately. But that's just the reality of it. So he isn't as quick. I think he's relying more on his positional awareness. But the goal is a pure mistake.
Yeah,
I don't think it relates to. He has the sharpness now,
but it's the awareness. I think on this one,
it's just an honest mistake. Because he is caught ball watching. So there is one runner, and credit to Mateta. I think it was the runner from behind. He
squares it.
And then he squares it to Edouard. He starts his run quite late. So Edouard is the one that's going between Matip and Van Dijk, so they kind of have his eyes on him. At that point, because Crystal Palace are playing with the front two, and that's maybe something Liverpool are not quite used to, at that point, Virgil van Dijk has to know, oh, okay, where's the second striker? Matip has Edouard covered now. If he spots Mateta, this goal doesn't happen. The pass doesn't even get executed because he would have tracked the man then. He would have tracked Mateta. So the pass just goes to, I don't know, Tyreek Mitchell or something.
So for me, I mean, I've watched it back and I think that's a bit harsh on Van Dijk, to be fair. What he's trying to do is he's trying to play an offside trap.
I know that.
So he
it can't be that.
No, I thought he was, but it's a terrible offside. Like the guy runs straight behind him, and he's a yard onside.
But I think we should give Jeffrey Schlupp a bit of credit. That is a beautifully weighted.
Oh, it's so good.
It's brilliant. It's good play,
and it disguises the Liverpool defense as well, because it appears at first that it's going to Edouard, and then Mateta just steams behind.
And so what I would say is, I think there's a lot of space behind a high line for Liverpool once you beat their press. So I think that's inevitable,
which is easy nowadays.
With a little bit slower of a defence, obviously with Van Dijk's injury. So I do understand where people are coming from with perhaps it's a poor decision to step up, but that is the tactics. That is what he is there to do. Constantly.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you do it every single time without scanning in your periphery or whatever.
Yeah.
I think if that's what you're suggesting, then he's just followed the tactical plan like quite too literally.
Maybe.
It's a bad offside. Like there's no two ways about it. And then from there, like Palace, I wouldn't say they dominated Liverpool. They had some chances, could have come back into it. And then there's the penalty, and I just think I don't think there's much of a discussion here. I think it's a ridiculous decision. I think it's one of the worst I've seen all season. I mean, anyone that's played the game knows what's happened there. Is that Jota's gone through and he stumbled a bit, knocked the ball past. I'm not saying he's dived, but he definitely wasn't fouled by the goalkeeper. Like there's just no way on God's green earth.
It's amazing that it was overturned.
I'm amazed.
Not only was because it'd make more sense if the ref had given it and then we can't overturn it because there is contact. Yeah. But he overturned it to give it.
It is genuinely more of a foul by Jota than it is by the keeper. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Ali's got his hand up. Ali, go for it. Go on. Tell us why this is a penalty then.
This is a space to be wrong on the internet. It's a penalty.
Oh no!
How?
Okay, so
we've got our title of the podcast. Ali's deluded.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, I stand to be corrected because, to be fair, based on the reaction, it seems just a complete agreement that it isn't a penalty. I'm amazed. Maybe I'm wrong. But the way I saw it was Diogo Jota wanted to either round the keeper or chip it over the keeper and then go past. The touch didn't come off. So that's why he steps to the side first, because he thought because he thought the ball was going to follow the pass that he intended. So he wanted to chip it over diagonally. He steps to the side because he thinks the ball will go over him. The touch doesn't come off. So he goes the other way so he can get the ball then, which he had a chance of getting.
I don't think he did.
Because
no, he just.
I don't think he did.
I think there was a small chance. Then Guaita having come out, he's kind of sliding on the floor. It is unlucky. It is completely unlucky. But so are most penalties. Like you don't intentionally just wall up someone and shove him down to the ground. Pretty much every penalty is unlucky because you don't want to foul someone in the penalty box. Or just stupid, but in this case, it is
unlucky. I think Jota's ran into him.
It's effectively Jota's taken a bad touch or a bad shot or whatever he's done. He's then shifted to the right and need the
goalkeeper.
Not a goalkeeper that is flying out either.
And he didn't put his arms out either. He didn't put his arms out.
The goalkeeper's on his knees. There's no momentum. So this is why I think it's completely different to other cases that we've seen in the past where goalkeepers obviously come out and trip people. There is no momentum by Guaita at all. He's on his knees. He's not moved to the right to stop Jota's natural path. Jota's taken a shift into it. And so the way I see it is, one, it's completely unnatural movement from Jota. Two, there's no momentum by Guaita and he hasn't flown across. Yeah. And three, it's a bad touch, which he's not going to get. So I think for that, it just to me,
in theory, this could start a whole new trend of knocking the ball one way,
and then
running straight into your man, just knocking. Like doesn't matter where the ball goes because you've made contact with it. I was going the long way around, ref. I wanted to have a look at the corner flag before I got to the ball. Like,
I understand what you're saying. I think if it wasn't given a penalty, it would have been okay. Oh, that's surprising, and then just move on. I miss pre-VAR days. But here's something as well. I don't think VAR is compatible with football. I think it's at least not compatible with the system and culture of Premier League referee. And that's not to say I'm not a fan of Premier League referees in general. I think the standard is low, but there's a certain respectable approach that the Premier League had, which is, get along with it, get on with it, get up, things like that. And that was something, looking back, hindsight is 2020, kind of respectful and valid. But what VAR has brought then is a complete uncertainty in every single decision that needs VAR or otherwise.
So it does bring added scrutiny, yeah. Like, obviously, every decision.
It brings added scrutiny, and it brings added context within a very quick time frame where they have to turn around decisions. So if you're not certain about a penalty decision, therefore it's not clear and obvious, therefore you don't give the penalty. You don't need that much time to give a penalty or not.
Yeah.
So I think that's not going to change. I just want it gone, man.
There's no way we can now, though. Once it's in place,
I know. I'm just not a fan
to go back, and then what will happen is, if we went back, a controversial decision will happen to influence very important. Yeah, influence very important.
Yeah, like the League Cup second leg. Yeah, like the two penalties Spurs got given against Chelsea. I mean, like that's why you need. Yeah, I mean, imagine if those stood.
I don't know if they're given. If VAR is there.
Yeah, okay, then you're going down kind of a sort of a whole different wormhole itself. But assume they are. That's why you've got VAR, because the standard of refereeing is at a level which is unacceptable and has been unacceptable for a long time. And George is right. Like, there was a resistance to bringing in VAR because it was the general consensus was, once we do it, that's it. Like, you can't go back. Like, it's in play. Yeah. And we're stuck with it, and you can maybe make the odd alteration to kind of how it's applied and that. But I think it's just a case now of like trying to make the best of it, which isn't ideal. I don't like it. Like, I go to a lot of games a season, and you don't know what's going on in the ground. You don't know what they're looking at. It takes far too long, and ultimately the consistency of it isn't there either. Like, there's a lot of things to dislike about it, and ultimately, if they keep making decisions like they made on Sunday, people are still going to be unhappy with it.
The heartbreaking thing for me is you have a genius, a maverick such as Mike Dean, and he just needs to be set free. You can't chain that sort of maverickness. That's what I
bingo
dislike
cards
most
out.
about
Mike
it.
Dean got his mention.
Let's move on. It was a big result for Liverpool because Man City dropped points, which is kind of unexpected from them. They'd won, I think, 12 or 13 in a row. And they dropped points to Southampton again. Southampton have got 2 draws against them this season. They've actually proved to be quite an awkward opponent for them, which is interesting. I mean, we spoke about Southampton a couple of weeks ago when we were reviewing the predictions, and the sort of the case that they have a very defined style. They press high, they take risks, and it's kind of one of those where Man City could beat them 6 or 7-0. I think, like, they've been beaten 9-0 by Man United. I know they had red card, but like, they're the sort of team that can take a battering because they can be quite open. But at the same time, the way they play allows them to produce the sort of performance they did against against Man City, which was ultimately, it was brave the way they played, the way they left men up front, and the way they were able to hit them on the counter and score a very, very good goal. It was a fantastically worked goal to Kyle Walker-Peters.
What a goal.
It was impressive for Southampton. Not just the result, the way they set up and took the game to them at times. As I said, it was brave. It may be slightly naive, but maybe you have to be when you're playing Man City.
Considering it was Man City's best performance of the season by far.
That's the other thing. You come up against Man City's best display all season, and you get a draw. I mean, you must be some side. I'm honestly convinced with Pep, like he just says the complete opposite.
Oh,
of
yeah.
what he
doesn't give a crap. He knows. I think his attitude is like, this is going to be twisted anyway.
He's got no time for these interviews.
The fans know what's really going on, anyways. I think he trusts the fans, like especially when they're doing well. No one's going to give a shit as to what he's saying. So like he's just like, we were brilliant. We were, he'll say whatever, just like.
Yeah.
Basically a nothing answer.
Yeah.
Just to get through it. But like that clip was incredible. That was really, really funny.
I love the way the interview is, because you don't often get much from the interview, but like when he was like, it was our best performance season. He's like, really? He's like, yeah. And he's like, what did you like about it? Everything. Everything.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's actually genius from Pep. I actually really like the way he conducts himself. He used to really annoy me.
Yeah, I think at the start, he's become like more savvy with this, because he kind of at the start. I remember in the first season there was an interview he done. I think
wasn't he?
They beat Burnley, didn't they? And he was like, "I'm so happy, so happy. I'm more than you believe,
more than you believe." Yeah, he was. Yeah,
I think he's just kind of he's become more savvy with kind of the responses he gives in the interviews, and people know he's like, obviously it's not sincere, but it doesn't matter. To be honest with you,
it doesn't matter if you're winning and top of the league.
Doesn't care exactly. They're top of the league. Okay, they didn't even lose. They drew, and like, as much as Southampton were really good, like more often than not, Man City probably win that game on the chances they had. There were some impressive performances from Southampton, though. Probably none more so than Brozier. You guys must like what you're seeing from him.
I was literally
I'm not getting my hopes up.
I was really
getting your hopes up.
He's gone.
He's not gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna play for Chelsea ever again.
But you'll get. What's his contractual situation?
No, he's on loan, but I just think I
know he's on loan, but like how long is he?
It doesn't matter. It could be 6 years. He will never play for Chelsea.
Yeah, but you could get the better he plays, the more you'll get from him. Often matters.
Yeah, but I think like it's gonna be like he's gonna go for around 20 to 30 million, and like Chelsea be happy with that, and then we'll try and buy him back for 100 million or something like that, and and everybody be going, oh, we shouldn't have done that, and why hasn't Tammy Abraham come back yet? And
we'll get to that in a minute.
Be all of that. So
are we doing a tabs on Tammy? Any updates to me, boys?
Oh
yes.
Done
well.
Other than I wish we signed him, because we've been linked with about 10 strikers this Monday morning, and I kind of wish we'd signed Abraham in the summer, to be honest. But
I think that deal was doable as well, even if he's maybe had to pay about 10 million more than a non-Premier League club.
Chelsea would have made us pay 60 million if we wanted him. I'm pretty convinced they wouldn't have sold him just for cut price.
Yeah, but it might have been worth it. He got a brace.
He would on the evidence of this season. I mean,
he's been brilliant, and he scored a brace this weekend. And is there any other games midweek that we would have missed, Ali?
There was another game against
Coppa Italia, wasn't there? Yeah, Coppa Italia.
Yeah, he did score the second goal in a 3-1 win, which is important as well. It seemed like they were struggling. They went 1-0 down, and then 40th minute before the half, Arash Gambula equalized from a Tammy Abraham assist. And then Abraham scored again. So that's 10 goals in 22. Not at all. Not a bad season.
He had a
goal every 2 games almost.
Sorry.
That's okay. A goal every 2 games, almost 10 in 22 in the league. Just really, really good season. Yeah, back to your point.
Yeah, he was good at Chelsea. He scored 15 Premier League goals in the first Frank Lampard season. Then he scored. I think he didn't play much the second. Yeah, and he non-penalty goals as well. I mean, that's really significant for Chelsea strikers or Chelsea players, because a lot of our goals come from penalties.
Well, yeah, I mean, no one scored 15 last season, and no one will likely score 15 this year. I mean, I don't know, maybe Lukaku will end up doing it, but he doesn't look like it at the moment. Doesn't look like an upgrade to me. There's various reasons as to why it's not worked out, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't look an upgrade on Abraham at all. You should have kept him.
Yeah.
I'm preaching to the converted with Fergal, I am aware.
I'm me now.
I'm George, yeah. I know, but you like Ron, mate, or you like
I do.
Ron.
I would have liked both at the club, to be fair.
Both of the clubs.
No, that's just greedy.
Would have been
That's
great, and we may have been able to do it if he had been played a bit more at the back end of the season.
Yeah, it's all Tuchel's fault, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just throws them out. I still find that one kind of hard to get my head around, to be fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't having him at all. But yeah, I mean, another impressive tabs on Tammy. Moving on to something slightly less impressive, which is our just another fantasy. What we got?
Well, last week I was Ida obviously got his first goal, and so I said to everyone, get him in your fantasy league, and he's come up trumps again. He got the assist, he caused the third goal, and I went for him. And all the other lads come in with all their fancy picks. Oh, Coutinho, Alan Saint-Maximin, Sterling. But Ida's out on top. Ida's on top with 5 points for me. Ali was the one that picked Coutinho with 3. George and Harry picked Saint-Maximin and Sterling, both a miserable 1 point. So don't never count against Adam Ida. The current standings then are Ali still on top with 89. I'm 10 points behind on 79. Harry is on 68, and George still at the bottom on 61.
Harry's
not great.
Still maintaining the Europa League spot after his comeback from the bottom. What are you feeling about this? Are you happy with third place based on the way it started?
Well, when you get off to such a poor start, a bit like Arsenal this season, getting into Europe in our standings would be a pretty good finish for me, I think. Yeah, it's not been great for me and George. I've got to believe better things are still to come. I mean, it's just law of averages stuff, right? I'm bound to pick someone at some point. I suppose I did get the Bowen double week, but apart from that, it's been
by accident you stumbled across Bowen double week.
Double game week.
I picked Bowen not knowing he had a double game week, and then he went and put 2 in against Norwich. As a stroke of genius.
21 points. That's your only double-digit week so far. I only have one double-digit week. Cheers. I only have one double-digit week, and was the Salah 5-0 against Man United.
I have 3.
I mean, you've been consistent, though. You've been, just putting in solid 7 out of 10s every week. Ali's had a man of the match, and not much else.
I mean, this statement about Fergal is just false. He got 16, 0, 0, 2, 5. So
he's mixed 7s and 0s then. Yeah. It's not been great. We've not exactly provided a template for listeners on how to choose your captain on fantasy football.
Well, I told them to get Ida in, and he's delivered again. What more do you want from me, Harry?
Delivered an assist.
I mean, it's better than Emmanuel Dennis, me captaining
Emmanuel Dennis, a triple captain I saw some people doing, and he's suspended for the other game that he would have been able to play in this game week.
It was merited. He's playing against the bottom too.
It just couldn't have gone much worse then.
I'd never back a relegation team player with a 4 triple captain.
The second highest point scorer in all fantasy.
He's been good, but I just think that
not for a triple captain. I get captain for not for triple captain, but not for triple captain.
No. Anyone that's put him as triple captain, I'm afraid, deserved it.
Stop listening to be triple captain. Yeah, you don't deserve my advice on fantasy football if you've triple captain Dennis.
Scathing.
Well, we've given the listeners an insight, given them a bit of advice. I think based on what we've done so far this season, you want to just totally disregard anything you've just heard, to be fair. And on that note, about disregarding everything you hear,
come back next week.
Come back next week.
Please.
We'll be here again to offer up the weekly nonsense. We'll leave it there for today. Thanks as ever, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.